Well, it's quite an atmosphere inside the Nottingham Arena. Carl Froch is about to start his walk to the ring. The butterflies are in the stomachs of all the supporters, but the Cobra looks as cool as a cucumber as he makes his way into the arena. Adam Booth, who trains David Hay, among others, who is ringside for this fight tonight, is part of our commentary team, and the British and Commonwealth Super-Middleweight champion George Groves as well. Adam, the general consensus seems to be this is going to be a tough night's work for Carl Froch.
Very much so. I think everybody in the boxing world realises just how good Lucian Bute is. But also, this is Bute's step up in class as well. And can he beat Carl and this incredible atmosphere?
Carl Froch is ready to enter the ring here in Nottingham. Can he win the World Super Middleweight Championship for a third time? We're about to hear the introduction of the Nottingham fighter from our MC here inside the Nottingham Arena, John McDonald. And the supporters inside this building cannot wait for what's sure to be an excellent contest to start. Froch has been here before. He's never lost inside the arena. Tonight, though, he takes on a man who's never lost in his professional career. He's big for a super middleweight. He packs a punch, he's a southpaw. Here comes the Cobra.
Welcome home, Carl Froch!
Well, this music worked for Rocky Balboa all those years ago. Does it work for Carl Froch tonight? George Groves alongside us. George, what goes through a fighter's mind as he makes this walk from the dressing room to the ring in an arena like this, which is electric tonight?
Well, I have experience of boxing at the O2 Arena, and the crowd was pretty similar to this, and the feeling is something really special. I think he's going to get Carl pumped up and ready for this fight. Knowing Carl personally, he'll be 100% prepared for this fight, and with an atmosphere like this, why wouldn't you be?
It's not a very long walk to the ring here, and Carl Froch is just standing there on a temporary stage at the moment, Adam, and just soaking up the atmosphere.
He's feeding on the energy in this hall is incredible. When we came here tonight, it didn't seem that big, but all of a sudden, it's just full of electricity, and Carl's soaking it up.
George, we've just seen his eyes on the monitor. He looks very focused to me.
Yeah, this is the time when you have to save as much energy as possible. You don't want to be wasting energy on the way to the ring. You just want to stay nice and calm, nice and focused, and then when that first bell goes, use all that energy, take him to the fight.
Rob McCracken, his trainer, who told me earlier this week that Carl Froch has to start this fight well if they're going to take advantage of any stamina issues that Bute might have. He leads Froch into the ring. They've been together right the way through Carl Froch's professional career. And just listen to the roar as Carl Froch makes his way into the ring here in his hometown in front of his adoring supporters. Kisses the gloves, raises them to the sky. He's got the Nottingham Forest logo on the side of his shorts. He's a very focused individual, and he's got a very big night ahead of him here against Lucian Bute, who does have some supporters inside the stadium. Away to our right-hand side, they are struggling to make themselves heard up against the thousands of Froch fans inside the arena. Let's get the Canadian world champion into the ring here in Nottingham. We're about to get Bute to start that walk from the dressing room.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the champion, Lucian Bute.
Well, here he comes. He's all in red, trimmed with silver, with the silver belt tying that dressing gown, the satin dressing gown around his waist. Not quite that intensity in the eyes of Bute that we saw from Carl Froch a few minutes ago. You've been in this position before, haven't you, Adam, with David Hay when he's fought in some hostile environments. He often fights at home, doesn't he, Bute? What's he going to make of this atmosphere?
Well, in the build-up to the fight, you can see that he and his trainer had worked on being in a hostile atmosphere. And so the most important thing is that you do the opposite of what Carl's going to do. Carl's going to feed on that atmosphere to start early and put some pressure on Bute to try and make him crack. Bute, on the other hand, just has to stay totally detached from it, stay with his skills and execute his game plan.
Lucian Bute, 32 years old. He's a Romanian-born Canadian, 30 fights, 24 wins, but it's only the second time in 19 fights that he's fought outside Canada. What I've noticed in the build-up to the fight, though, George, nothing's fazed him. He looks an extremely cool customer, Bute.
Yeah, without doubt. He's a very experienced fighter. He was well-travelled as an amateur, so he would have that experience of boxing abroad from then. He's obviously he hasn't travelled too much since he's been professional, and he's built a tremendous following back home, so that he's used to that. Coming away and facing a hostile crowd, it'll be fascinating to see how he gets on with it.
Well, we heard cheers when Carl Froch made his way into the ring. Bute stands on the ring apron, applauds all four sides of the Nottingham Arena, and he's greeted with a cascade of boos as he steps through the ropes and into the ring. Is it going to be the place of destiny for Carl Froch tonight, or will Lucian Bute really confirm himself as one of the top super middleweights in the world? Andre Ward is the undisputed king of this division, with the rankings at the moment have Bute just higher than Carl Froch. He's ranked second in the Ring magazine. Froch is ranked number third. Froch is ranked third, but he feels he's got a point to prove tonight. He's 35 in July, Adam. How often can Carl Froch dip into the well and keep coming back?
Well, we're just about to find out. The interesting thing here is that Carl has been at this level for his last 8 or 10 fights.
Well, they're both standing in the ring. Lucian Bute's corner is to our right-hand side, just takes off the road. Carl Froch is just stretching in the far side of the ring as we look at it with that glazed expression. He's got the business face on the Cobra tonight, just discussing one or two things over there with his trainer, Rob McCracken. Bute's got a white T-shirt on with the red boots and the silver trim on the side of those red shorts, just bouncing up and down on the spot, soaking in this hostile atmosphere and making sure he's got everything in order in his mind before the big fight gets underway. Here's John McDonald, the MC, for us here at the Nottingham Arena as we get ready for Carl Froch against Lucian Bute.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please show your respect for the national anthems? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the main event, the fight of the night. Eddie Hearn from Matchroom Sport in association with Interbox proudly presents 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Super-Middleweight Championship of the World. All sponsored by 888 Poker in association with Lonsdale and Northfire. And a very warm welcome to our viewers joining us live here on Sky Sports HD and Sky 3D. And for the thousands in attendance and the millions joining us around the world, it's Fight Night Live! All the officials have been appointed by the International Boxing Federation in association with the British Boxing Board of Control. Stewards in charge, Charlie Giles and David Roden. Our supervisor from the USA is Lindsay Tucker. Timekeeper at the bell is Mr. Andrew East. And our 3 scoring judges, Howard Foster of England, Benoit Roussel of Canada, Steve Weisfeld of the USA. And the man in charge of the action and taking part in his 21st World Championship contest from New Jersey, USA, Earl Brown. They're the officials. And here we go. Introducing to you firstly, he's fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing the black trunks trimmed with silver and weighed in at 11 stone, 13 pounds, 5 ounces. He brings a 30-fight record. 28 wins, 20 inside the scheduled distance, just 2 defeats. He comes to the ring as a former undefeated British and Commonwealth super-middleweight champion. He is the 2-time champion of the world. The fighting pride of Nottingham, England, where he is known as the Cobra, Carl. And now, the champion. He's fighting out of the red corner wearing the red trunks trimmed with silver, weighed in 11 stone, 13 pounds, 12 ounces. He is undefeated. 30 contests, 30 wins, 24 inside the scheduled distance. As he makes his 11th defense of the title, he comes to the ring as a reigning and defending IBF Super-Middleweight Champion of the World! Originally from Romania and fighting out of Montreal, Canada, ladies and gentlemen, the champion, Lucian Bute! So that's it. Here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Super-Middleweight Championship of the world.
Carl, Lucian, you receive the instructions in the dressing room. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch them up and go to your corner.
Well, the first thing I've got to say when you look at the 2 of them is that Lucian Bute looks significantly bigger than Carl Froch. He's an inch taller at 6'2". He's 2 years younger at 32 years of age. Froch has the greater experience. This is the first time that Bute has mixed it in this sort of company, in this sort of atmosphere. And the fight is underway. Both of them standing in centre ring, just flicking out the jab, having a look at each other. Robert McCracken, Froch's trainer, said it's very important that Froch can make a good start into this fight if they're going to take it into the later rounds and really put pressure on Bute, who has had 1 or 2 stamina issues in the past. Froch just throws out a lazy left jab. Bute looking him square in the eye and stalking him from the southpaw stance, tall and rangy. He's got the reach advantage, and he lands with a right jab into the midsection of Froch, who then tries to counter with a left jab of his own. All of this taking place in the centre of the ring. Froch lands a good right, the first real meaningful punch of the fight. And then he tries to throw another couple as well, as Bute forced to back off for the first time. Then they grapple, and Earl Brown, the referee, in quickly to sort that out. He's just going to have a word with the 2 fighters as well. This could be one of the problems Froch has got. Rob McCracken, the trainer, described him as the worst possible sort of opponent. A southpaw who's tall, can box, and punches hard as well. It's going to be interesting to see whether Froch can work out this southpaw stance. He's never lost to a southpaw as a pro. The Bute fans just start to make themselves heard inside the Nottingham Arena as Froch tries to land the right hand. Bute just backed off for a second, and then the champion starts moving forward again. Froch lands with a right, then a left. That was a good shot. Bute felt that from Carl Froch, and he just has to hang on against the ropes on the far side of the ring. Froch wipes the gloves on his black shorts with Cobra across the waistband, the red trimmed with silver for Lucian Bute. Froch has made a really good start in this first round, and the champion lands for the first time, and his supporters get on their feet. Bute lands again with a left hand from this southpaw stance, and Froch is on the ropes for the first time in the fight. Bute stalks his prey. Froch backs into a corner, the Bute corner. Bute waits for an opening. Froch flicks out a left jab, and then Bute catches him with a right hand over the top. The nose of Froch already starting to redden, with less than a minute to go in the first round here. Listening to 5 Live Sport at the Nottingham Arena, the IBF Super-Middleweight Championship between Nottingham's Carl Froch and Lucian Bute, the Romania who fights these days out of Montreal in Canada. Now they exchange blows in centre ring, and then Froch backs off. Lands a jab and then moves away, trying to look for the body punch, and then they get a bit tangled up, and the referee Earl Brown is quickly in to separate them. And Bute lands a meaningful shot. Froch then lands with a right to the body. Bute responds. Froch forced to back off. Bute just starting to settle. Froch hits him with a left jab and then takes a left hand for his trouble as he came in looking for another punch. The bell ends round number 1. Adam Booth, how did you see it?
I'll give that round to Carl. There was a few times out of the first half of that round that Carl led with the right hand, and as Bute went to claim him, Carl would land with the left hook. Carl's making a mistake in that first round where he's throwing that right hand and his back leg is coming all the way through. He covered it in that round by throwing a left hook after and catching Bute, and Bute looked uncomfortable, but Bute may well adjust to that, and as Carl brings his foot across, if Bute takes a step back, he'll give himself space to plant a counter, but at the moment Carl stopped him doing that by following up with the left hook. So a tight round, but I think for me a clear round for Carl to win 10-9.
Perfect start. Rob McCracken, the trainer, just applying a bit of water to the face of Carl Froch and just talking him through 1 or 2 things.
10 seconds, corners.
He was saying in training that it's so important that Froch keeps moving to his left-hand side to try and negate the southpaw advantage that Bute could potentially have. Out they come then to centre ring for round 2 on 5 Live in Nottingham. The IBF Super-Middleweight title fight between Carl Froch, the local man, in front of 9,000 people inside the arena, against the unbeaten Lucian Bute of Canada. Froch hits him with a left jab, bit of spray from the head of Bute. Both of them patient, feeling each other out in the early stages of what could be a long fight. Froch's last 5 fights have gone the full 12 rounds, and his last 7 have gone into the 12th round. He hasn't stopped an opponent since he stopped Jermaine Taylor 14 seconds from the end of that very dramatic world title fight between the two of them. Froch pokes out 2 or 3 jabs. Bute happy just to watch Froch, and then he moves forward but doesn't throw a punch. Froch with the right hand defending the chin, and the left jab just lazily hanging out in front of him. Bute starts to move forward, looks to throw a punch, look to the body. Froch then throws a right hand to the body, and Bute counters. Bute with a first real meaningful body shot, that left hand bolo that thuds into the ribs of Froch on the far side of the ring, as Froch then comes back with a couple of punches of his own, and then they grab a hold of each other in centre ring, and Earl Brown, the referee, is quickly in to separate them. Froch lands with a left jab, and another one. All of the support inside this stadium behind the local man. It's a 10-minute drive to Carl Froch's house, and he starts to unload the first decent combination from the challenger, the 2-time WBC Super-Middleweight champion, and he caused a problem for Bute when he opened up and let the hands go. Froch again with a left jab. He's landing the more telling punches with just over a minute to go in the second round. Froch has started well. That was always the game plan, to apply pressure on Bute early. That's a good stiff left jab from Froch. More spray from the face of Bute. Bute at the moment unable to get his punches off. He can't find the range, and Froch hits him again and catches him on the break as well. Bute spending the majority of the time stalking Carl Froch, but it's Carl Froch who's able to unload with the punches and land the scoring shots. Towards the end of round number 2, Froch almost directly above us here in the ring in Nottingham. That's a good shot by Bute, and Froch responds with a right hand of his own. Bute then looks to unload, and Froch hits him with 2 really good shots. Froch again. The more telling punches, the more accurate punches are coming from the challenger. And every time a big shot goes in, the roof of this arena starts to lift off. And there's the bell to end round number 2. Adam Booth, another good round for Carl Froch.
Well, it was another tight round. I'll give that one to Carl again. He had a shaky start to the round where Lucian seemed to adjust to that right-hand lead of Carl and caught him with a left-hand counter. But the interesting thing developing here is that although Carl is an orthodox fighter, meaning that he leads with his left hand, he has a completely unorthodox rhythm, and it looks like Bute's struggling to figure that rhythm out. He's like a southpaw, but in a mirror, and Carl's making that work to his effect at the moment because Bute is still struggling to figure that out.
Let's bring in George Groves. He landed some good shots, didn't he, in round 2, Carl Froch?
Yeah, he is, Carl. He's really making his physical presence known in this ring tonight. I thought Lucian would be stronger, as we mentioned earlier. He looked bigger, but it seems to be Carl who's landing the heavier shots, and Lucian seems to be hesitating.
6 of Bute's last 7 fights have ended in stoppage. He's defending the title tonight for the 10th time. He won it back in 2007 against Alejandro Berrio, and he's been pretty dominant in all but one of his defences. And he comes here tonight with a big reputation. We're into round 3. It's been a good start for Froch, who's just caught there with a right jab from Bute. Froch looks extremely calm. He's been here before, mixed it with all the big names in the super-middleweight division, the likes of Andre Ward and Mikhail Ketzler, Andre Durrell, Arthur Abraham, and he's usually come out on top, apart from that pretty lopsided defeat against Ward in his previous fight 5 months ago in Atlantic City. Froch poking out the jab. That's a decent right hand though from Bute, which just caught Froch on the side of the face and just forced him to back off momentarily. But he regathers his thoughts, the challenger, and starts to poke out that jab again. Bute trying to settle, not been allowed to settle so far in this fight by Froch, who looks as though he's got the game plan just about right. 1 or 2 questions about Froch when he went into that battle with Arthur Abraham, but he got the tactics just right that night and totally outboxed the German. Now he unloads with a couple of punches. Bute didn't like it, complains to the referee. Froch starts to unload, right in front of us, lands a big right hand and another. Lets the hands go, Froch. Bute forced to hang on, and Froch on top now. Really did let the punches go, and some meaningful shots found the chin of Lucian Bute, who is unravelling here in Nottingham. Froch goes in for the kill. Big right hand. They almost fall out of the ring on the far side. And Earl Brown, the referee, is in there quickly to separate the 2 fighters. But Carl Froch has Lucian Bute just where he wants him. Another big right hand goes in from the Cobra, right onto the chin of the defending world champion Lucian Bute. The calm exterior has completely disappeared. He's in panic mode, the champion now. Froch stalks it. Bute back on the ropes. Froch lands again. Lefts and rights, stunning into the face and body. Adam Booth urging Carl Froch to go for the body a little bit. Froch hits him with a big uppercut. Bute on wobbly legs, staggers around the ring. Froch catches him again. Bute tries to throw back punches in desperation, but it's all Carl Froch in the ring now. Bute in big trouble in round number 3. 40 seconds to go. Froch lands again. Then he lands a big roundhouse right to the right of the face of Bute. Back in centre ring, the 2 fighters go. Bute hoping the head can clear, hoping the legs can get stronger, but he's caught again with a big shot by Froch. Bute looks out on his feet. The end of the round can't come soon enough for the champion as Froch unloads again. Bute, there's no reply. Froch with lefts and rights, stunning into the face, hitting the body. Bute on wobbly legs towards the end of round number 3. Hangs on again. And he's going to need this minute's rest like he's never needed a minute's rest before. What a round of boxing from Carl Froch, Adam Booth.
Big round in round 3. I didn't think that Carl would test Bute's heart so early in the fight. I thought it would take a bit longer than that. We saw in the Librado-Andrade fight when Bute just about survived in the 12th round that he wanted to quit when he was under similar type of pressure there. I do not think that a minute is going to be long enough for Bute to recover. Carl's got to get straight on him, jump on him and finish this fight.
George Groves.
I mentioned earlier Bute looked like he was hesitating, and now he's paying the price for it. Carl jumped on him that round, caught him with a solid shot and literally didn't give him any time to recover. It was a huge round for Carl.
Barry Hearn is going absolutely mad on the far side of the ring. He's almost in there himself, trying to throw shots on Carl Froch's behalf.
He's loving it.
Big names at ringside tonight. Mikhail Kessler is here. David Hay is here. Kell Brook is here. Sugar Ray Leonard, the great Sugar Ray Leonard is here as well.
His legs are still shaky there. Bute's legs are still a little bit shaky. He stood up there off the stool, tried to bounce on his toes and stop because his knees still looked a bit shaky.
Adam Booth with us on 5 Live. George Groves as well. Carl Froch has just had a huge third round. Let's see if those legs are stronger. Let's see if the head is clear. After just a minute's rest between rounds, Froch goes back to work, looks to reassert his authority as both fighters stand in centre ring. Froch just throwing out the left jab. In complete control of this fight at the moment. Bidding to win the title for a third time. Gets Bute backed up on the ropes, and you know what's coming now. Froch lands with another big shot. The spray lands on us here in the ringside seat.
Bute's not looking to counter here, he's just looking to stay in the fight. If Carl can just find something now.
Bute lands with a big left. That's the first meaningful punch from the champion for quite some time. Has got power, can stop men at this weight. Lucian Bute, 24 knockouts in 30 fights, and Froch can't afford to switch off and allow him back into the fight. He's made such a fantastic start in.
But the last round would have been so taxing for Bute. If Carl can keep him busy with mental energy, keep him thinking, keep him guessing, without even throwing punches, then he can save his recovery, and then when he's ready to attack.
Bute went in with a big shot there, but didn't quite land, and then Froch lands with 2 or 3 in centre ring. I just get the impression that Bute's head is clearing slightly. He's got himself back into some measure of composure, not the icy cool exterior that we saw when he came into the ring. Froch at the moment just happy to poke out the jab and maintain control and wait for the opportunity to arise, because when he does land the big shot, Carl Froch, Bute is finding it difficult to cope with, and here he goes again, the Cobra, unloading, landing lefts and rights. Bute, though, gets in with a good counter-punching. Froch might be hurt for the first time. We'll wait and see. It's Bute's turn to throw some leather. Froch then replies with a big right hand, and they both move back to centre ring. Fantastic start to this fight. Minutes ago in round number 4 at the Nottingham Arena, the IBF Super-Middleweight title fight. Carl Froch stalking Lucian Bute. Bute backs off to the ropes. It's danger when he gets there, because then Froch lets the hands go. Hits him with a big right to the body. Stares down and just raises his eyebrows to Adam Booth, who offers a bit of advice to the challenger. Froch then caught by a left hand from Bute, who's just rolling the shoulders and trying to make the target more difficult for the 2-time world champion from Nottingham. Froch pokes out a jab, and then he catches Bute with a big left hand as well. Bute forced to backpedal. Froch just stalks his prey and then hits him with a huge right hand. Bute in trouble again, and another one. Leg against the ropes, inviting pressure from the challenger. And Carl Froch happy to oblige with 2 big punches right onto the chin of Lucian Bute. He is still hurt, he's back onto the ropes again. Froch is pouring it on, hits him with a big right and a left. Lets the combinations go for the second time in the fight. The bell saves Lucian Bute, with Carl Froch in complete control again. Adam Booth.
Just watch Lucian Bute walk back to his corner like a drunk on a Saturday night. I said at the end of the last round, I didn't think a minute was long enough. Carl led him back into that round for the first half of it, and then basically assaulted him for the second half.
George, it's interesting here, isn't it? Because the only thing that seems to undo Froch is when he lunges in. When he's patient and picks his shots, he can hit Bute at will.
Carl expended a lot of energy in round 3, but he came out round 4, he looked like he'd maybe struggling with the pace, but he knows now that if he lands a big shot, he can have Bute in trouble, and that's pretty much how the fight is going to be.
Every shot hurts Bute, Adam, doesn't it?
That's such a big thing in a fight like this. Carl knows he can hurt Bute. Bute knows Carl can hurt him. Carl's got this fight mentally. He now has to go and claim it.
Carl Froch has a granite chin, we know that.
5.
We're not so sure, though, about Lucian Bute, who really has felt the full weight of those Carl Froch punches. And Froch has won all 4 rounds to start this fight. And here he goes unloading early in round number 5. Hits Bute with a couple of big shots to start things off. And then Earl Brown, the referee, separates the 2 fighters, and they will re-engage in centre ring. Bute again still looking a little bit wobbly. Not had enough time between rounds to recover. Froch stalks his prey. Barry Hearn's just told him to be patient. Froch, though, is extremely accurate and starts unloading again. Bute can move away from the ropes this time, but more punishment is going to come from the challenger. menacingly moving forward in those black trunks with Froch on the back and Cobra on the front. Hits him with the right and the left. The referee's having a look at this. Froch is unloading. Oh, he's stopped the fight, has he? Bute down on the ropes. He's going to administer the count. Bute's all over the place. Froch starts to celebrate. The fight, I don't think, has been stopped at this stage. Eddie Hearn, the promoter, is in the ring. But Lucian Bute's corner has waved it off. And for the third time, Carl Froch is the super-middleweight champion of the world. And he's done it in emphatic style against the man who came to Nottingham unbeaten. But he couldn't withstand the force of the Cobra. And Carl Froch is the new IBF super-middleweight champion of the world. What a performance, Adam Booth.
We said at the start, could Bute step up to this level? Carl has proved he is at the top level in this sport of boxing at super middleweight. Bute stepped up and just got beaten back down.
Carl Froch is holding his girlfriend Rachel in his arms and swinging around in the ring in celebration. He came here, George Groves, didn't he, Bute, with a huge reputation. Nobody's done that to him before, and Carl Froch just took him apart.
Yeah, I think the vast majority of people would have Bute as a heavy favourite for this. He's proved himself to be a great fighter, but Carl has proved again that he belongs at the highest level. And what a performance. It was fantastic, great fight, great atmosphere. It's great to have Cole back on top.
The first thought for me, Adam, is there's a rematch clause in the contract, but Bute won't want to face that again for sure.
Well, there was nothing in that fight that can give Bute belief, whether the fight's in Canada, Nottingham, or in his own front room, that he has an answer for Carl Froch. That was quite a damaging defeat for Bute.
He's sat in his corner, the former champion being looked at by the medical team. He's having the gloves cut off by the corner. He's still not quite sure where he is, Lucian Bute, because he ran into a whirlwind called Carl Froch tonight, who could hit him at will, George, couldn't he?
Yeah, it did seem like that by the end. Carl was unloading heavy shots, and it was the ones that where he took his time a little bit, when he backed Bute up onto the ropes and then threw those straight right hands straight through the middle, just like we see now. And he hit Bute hard, and Bute was hurting, still struggling now.
I'm just looking, Bute stood up, he's still on shaky legs, but let's just talk about Carl Froch for a minute. He's now claimed back his rightful position as one of the best super middleweights in the world. A fantastic performance, both technically, physically, and also mentally on top.
Well, just listen to the noise inside the Nottingham Arena now. They've been waiting in here. The doors opened at the arena at 6:30, and they started coming in 6 hours ago, and they built themselves up into a frenzy. And having watched 4 and a bit rounds from Carl Froch, you've got to say that he was doing something similar in the dressing room. Robert McCracken got the game plan just right. Carl Froch executed it to perfection, and he's back on top of the world. He's a 3-time world super middleweight champion, and I doubt many have been much sweeter than this. In his hometown, back here for the first time in a long time, since the night when he beat Andre Durrell on points. He wasn't spectacular then. He won the title in this building for the first time against Jean Pascal, but he's given them something to remember, George, in here tonight.
Yeah, this without doubt is probably Carl's best performance against a top rated fighter, and it was like man and boy in there. Carl took him apart. Every time he looked menacing, Bute shut down.
Carl Froch is walking around the ring, shaking hands with as many people as he possibly can. Bute has actually stumped back into his corner again. He's sat on the stool. He's never had a night's work like this in his professional career. Unbeaten in 30 fights before tonight. That's before he found Carl Froch in this kind of form. And Froch has regained the super middleweight title. He's a 3-time world champion, and he holds the IBF belt for the first time, having won the WBC belt on 2 previous occasions. And you wonder what's next for Carl Froch, because I think it's unlikely he'll get the rematch with Bute, because you can't make a case for him actually winning the fight the way it was so one-sided tonight. The crowd are cheering inside the Nottingham Arena. Carl Froch is back on top of the world. All we need now is confirmation from the MC, John McDonnell, with Carl Froch pointing to the skies. Lucian Bute, I'm happy to say, is now back on his feet and applauding all 4 sides of the arena here in Nottingham. Shakes hands with Carl's promoter, Eddie Hearn, inside the ring. Wanders around, his head's clear. Stood next to the new champion, Carl Froch. As we await for confirmation, the official announcement. All the Froch family are in the ring as well. Sense of relief on the face of his partner, Rachel, and his mum's in there as well, admiring her son. Here's John McDonnell.
Timekeeper Andrew East has recorded a time of 1 minute and 5 seconds of the 5th round. Your winner, and the new and the 3-time champion of the world, the Cobra, Carl Froch.
Sounds so good, doesn't it, Adam, when you put in all the work he has, and he's won in that fashion. 3-time world super-middleweight champion. Sounds so sweet.
Of any champion in British boxing who's ruled the world, Carl deserves this more than anyone. He's had to fight for every bit of respect that he's got in this business.
He's got the ability, hasn't he, Carl Froch, to rebound from defeats. I remember the last time he lost to Mikhail Kessler, he came back in the next fight and thoroughly outboxed Arthur Abraham. He was beaten quite convincingly by Andre Ward, and he's come back with that kind of display tonight, George. Yeah, he did. I mean, it was a close fight with Kessler, but with Ward he was soundly beaten, and he knows that, and he said that openly. But coming in tonight, I thought that might be playing on his mind, but it wasn't, not at all. It's same old Carl Froch. It's the first time he's stopped an opponent since 2009 as well, when he caught up with Jermaine Taylor with 14 seconds to go. He's had to go the long route. That was a devastating display by Froch. That's as good as he's looked for a while, Adam. Absolutely devastating. And also, you know, you say he hasn't had a stoppage since 2009, but look at the company he's been keeping. You know, he's been playing the very best. That's like saying that would Brazil beat Italy 12-0? It just wouldn't happen. It's always going to be tight, and he's proved that he is an elite fighter. Interestingly, we've got Mikhail Kessler at ringside as well tonight. And he'd like to sort that problem out, wouldn't he? He'd like to redress the balance with Mikhail Kessler. That would be a fight and a half, wouldn't it, George? It really would. It really would. I think that would be a very logical fight for Carl next. Amir Khan has been sitting just a few seats away from us to our left. As Carl Froch celebrates inside the ring, he's got the IBF belt wrapped around his waist. The red leather with the gold on the front over the black shorts that he wore menacingly in the ring tonight as he dished out all that punishment to Lucian Bute. They love him here in Nottingham, and he's going to milk this as much as he can. Anybody who wants a cuddle from the new champion's quite happy to get one in there, because he's on cloud nine, George. He is. He's handing them out for free. I might get in next myself. We will be speaking to Carl Froch very soon here on 5 Live. We will be rejoining the Stephen Nolan programme shortly, but we're going to hear from the new champion before we do that. He's got a couple of television interviews, and then he'll be with us here on 5 Live Sport. I wonder what the future holds for him now, because he's 35 in July. You shouldn't be doing this kind of thing at 35, Adam Boo. You asked the question before, you know, does he have it in him for another hard fight? And we still don't have that answer now, because it wasn't a hard fight. He proved physically that he's still a man who looks in his prime. He's in your weight division, George. I know you'd like a go at him, but he looks like he's got plenty left in the tank, doesn't he? Oh, he has. He definitely has. And obviously, being a fighter at the same weight, I'd love to have a go at anyone in the division. But, yeah, Carl was sensational tonight. Let's hear from Barry Hearn. Barry, you threw almost as many punches outside the ring as Carl threw in it.
What a fantastic performance by Carl Froch. You know, we didn't know how good Lucian Bute was. His record was fantastic. But in boxing, you have to look who they've fought. You know, Carl Froch's pedigree is already established. He's been all over the world. He's had 6 or 7 consecutive tough fights at world-class level. Bute could have been the best boxer in the world, but we didn't know because he'd never fought the best. Tonight he came up against the best, and you saw what happened.
I spoke to Robert McCracken in the week, and he said all this talk about Bute's stamina, it's all about Carl making a good start in the fight and establishing that control early on, and he did that right from the first minute, didn't he?
As soon as he landed the first decent punch, I thought, you know, Froch's knees went a little bit. He stiffened up a little bit, as if I'm not used to this. I'm not used to people coming back and hitting me. He's had a very soft run in Canada, fighting at home against hand-pick opponents. Tonight he came up against a hungry fighter who wanted his title back, and frankly, he couldn't come anywhere near Carl Froch.
Mikhail Kessler's here tonight. There's unfinished business between the pair of them. What's next? I mean, would the rematch clause kick in after that?
Well, it's up to them. They've got a rematch clause. You know, when we sign a contract at Matchroom, you know, we like to deal with licensed fights, sanctioned by the Boxing Board of Control. We're a proper organisation, and we will always abide by the rules, as we always do at Matchroom. But of course, it's not my decision. You've got to talk to the boss, my son Eddie. It's nothing to do with me at all.
But he's got plenty left in the tank, there's no doubt about that.
No question, and I think the crowd going home very happy tonight, which is the most important thing of all.
Very good to talk to you. Enjoy it tonight.
Lovely,
You
thanks a
certainly
lot.
threw enough punches during the course of the fight. It was almost as interesting watching Barry Hearn on the far side of the ring, George, as you watched Carl Froch in it.
It was. He was a distraction, to be honest.
We'll be speaking to Carl very, very soon. We'll stay here in Nottingham until about 1 o'clock, and then we'll rejoin the Stephen Nolan programme on 5 Live from the BBC. Carl Froch is going to do an interview now that will be heard by everybody inside the arena. We will speak to him ourselves in a couple of minutes, because you're not really going to hear exactly what he's got to say. The record now for Carl Froch: 31 fights, 29 wins, 2 losses, 21 knockouts. This is a big advantage to him here, isn't it? When we got here tonight, the atmosphere started to build up. When you've got this kind of support behind you, if you're in a tight fight like that could have been, it gives you the edge.
Also, if you're in a fight that needs you to start aggressively and put it on the guy, and it definitely helps him do that.
Well, he's saying there that he felt very focused and determined and switched on and felt $1 million. Let's have a quick word with Amir Khan, who's been watching the fight tonight. Amir, what did you make of that? That was a fantastic performance.
Oh yes, it was. I mean, the way Carl fought, I mean, he stuck to his game plan. He stayed behind that jab, and the way he caught with them right hands, we all thought Bute had the amazing jab, but the way Carl put his jab in, and he just outboxed him at his own game. Brilliant performance, best I've seen Carl box.
How difficult is it, Amir, when you're against an opponent like Carl tonight, who everything just seemed to click into place? He was fired up for the fight, he looked fresh, he looked aggressive, the game plan was perfect. Bute had no answer, didn't he, right from the first minute?
Bute had no answer, yeah, you're right there. He had no answer, and you could see every time he went in that corner, he was lost. He was off his feet, and I don't know what the corner were telling him, but whatever they were telling him, it wasn't enough, because Carl had him every time, every shot he was throwing was hitting him clean on the chin. I mean, Bute gets a lot of respect for having a great chin, for standing up to most of the shots, but you can see, I mean, it's good that the referee jumped in and stopped the fight, because he was hurt.
Amir, was that a great performance by Carl Froch, or was Bute not as good as people suspected he might be?
I think it was Carl Froch who put a great performance on. You can't take nothing away from him. Bute just wasn't on the same level, but we thought he was, but he wasn't. Carl just was too good for him.
Thanks, Amir. Thanks for your thoughts on 5 Live tonight. It's interesting, Adam, isn't it? Sometimes when you can look $1 million, and then when you go to the absolute elite level in your weight class, as Bute did tonight, you can find it's a little bit tough for you.
So much of this business, when a fighter is building his record, is about matchmaking and taking the right fights at the right time, and they've obviously done that for Bute. But as I think Ian Dark said yesterday in Sky, it's like playing against Stoke and lower level teams, and all of a sudden you've got to step up and play Barcelona, and you get found out, and that's exactly what happened here tonight.
He elected not to fight in the Super 6 tournament, didn't he, Lucian Bute? Carl Froch put his reputation on the line against all of them. Bute took the easy route, he's paid for it tonight.
Yeah, it would seem that, Carl would have picked up valuable experience in the Super 6, and making the final prove that he was an elite fighter in the super middleweight division. You come unstuck against Ward, but apart from Ward, you've got to say he's the best in the division.
I think tonight, I don't think any praise can be enough for Carl Froch tonight to come back from that tournament and that loss to Andre Ward, and then to take the guy who everybody really didn't want to come up against, because nobody knew just how good Bute was, and he deserves all the credit in the world.
Carl Froch is sat on the ring apron with that red, shiny IBF belt wrapped around his waist, with a big smile on his face. He's got his trainer Rob McCracken on one side. Eddie Hearn, the promoter, is with him as well. He's the man who's got to decide what happens next and find out whether Bute wants the rematch or not. It would be in Canada, which I don't think it'd make an awful lot of difference, George, do you?
No, it certainly wouldn't make any difference, not in that performance tonight. Bute just wasn't good enough. Froch hit too hard, was too accurate, was too strong, too powerful, and there's nothing Bute could do, in the preparations for another fight that would change that.
It'll be interesting to know what time frame they have for that rematch clause as well, because if I was advising Bute, I would say, right, let's take 2 or 3 fights to get back to where you should be, and then think about taking on Carl Froch. But at the moment, there was nothing that he can take from that fight tonight to go into a rematch to give him any type of confidence.
Do we read anything into the fact that Mikkel Kessler is ringside tonight?
Yes, you can. You can read a lot into that. You know, that's one of the losses on Carl's record, but that fight could have gone either way. It was that close, and if it had been a draw, that would have been fair. So there's definitely unfinished business there.
And we know that'll be a fantastic fight, George, don't we?
Well, it was brilliant the first time, and the way Carl goes, he's never in a boring fight. And neither is Kessler, so that'll be a fight that the fans would love to see. Hopefully for Carl, this time he could have it over here in Nottingham. This crowd was fantastic.
I wonder whether Mikkel Kessler would want to fight here and being here tonight and heard it all.
Well, he has incredible support in Denmark. It'll be the dynamics of the finances that dictate where the fight takes place, and I would imagine that will be here.
We are hoping to speak to Carl Froch very soon. He's just concluding the television interview on the side of the ring. Lots of the supporters have stayed behind inside the Nottingham Arena to listen to what the new champion's got to say. He's worked so hard. He's actually stayed at home for the preparation for the fight, training with the British Olympic team up in Sheffield, where Rob McCracken is the performance director, who's been sleeping in the guest house in his house downstairs while his partner Rachel's been upstairs. He's gone through the process. He's had a 10-minute drive to the arena, and here he is tonight as the IBF Super Middleweight Champion of the world in his hometown of Nottingham. And I think we're about to speak to the new champion here on 5 Live Sport. He's just walked down the steps from the ring apron. We've got to put the headphones on him because he can't do that himself with his boxing gloves on. Carl, what a performance that was. I mean, we'd heard a lot about Lucian Bute in the build-up to the fight, but you took him apart.
That's right, yeah. You know, there's a lot of people giving me bad stick on the way up to this, but fair enough, you know, people are judging me on my last performance, which wasn't a very good performance by my own admission. And in this game, unfortunately, you're only as good as your last fight. But I had to right a wrong tonight. I came here tonight to prove to a lot of people that I've still got it. I've still got the strength, the desire, the courage, everything you need to perform at world level. I came here tonight to prove that. Not just to everybody and right the people that are giving me bad stick and writing me off in the boxing magazines and saying, oh, Froch is going to get beat. Not just for them, for myself. You know, I've got to prove to myself as well. All fighters got hidden demons inside, from the amateur days right through to the professional days. I'm former 2-time WBC world champion, and still you doubt yourself. Tonight I came into the ring with no doubt, just pure confidence, and I think that's why I produced such a great performance tonight.
The minute you landed the first big shot, the fight completely changed, didn't it?
It did, yeah. I caught him and I knew I could hurt him. It wasn't a big bit, I don't know how big the shot was. It felt like it didn't travel very far, but his legs did a little buckle and I thought, all right, okay, I can hurt him. But then, I don't know if you noticed, in round one, he caught me with a great shot, a nice uppercut, short and sweet on the chin. I felt that shot, in all honesty, I felt it, but I only felt it for about 5 seconds. I shook it off and I thought, right, you're getting a couple back. So.
And let me ask you one more before you go. What about this crowd in here?
This crowd tonight in Nottingham's fantastic. You know, they've come from all over the country, and I want to say a big thank you to them. Thank you.
Carl, fantastic. Congratulations tonight. Carl Froch, the new IBF Super Middleweight World Champion. He's been dragged away now by Barry Hearn for the rest of the media interviews that he's got to do. He steps back into the ring. In fact, he almost stumbles through the ropes. He looks as though he could go out and fight again. I mean, he's won at a canter and he's thoroughly enjoying the moment. He's gone through the ring and now stepped out at the other side. Let's speak to his trainer, Rob McCracken. Rob, I came up and spoke to you in the week at the Performance Academy for the Olympic team, and you said the important thing was that Carl started the fight well and asserted himself on Bute early, and he did exactly that.
Yeah, it was really important that he had a good start. He was a little bit concerned about the gloves that they wear, you know, their new Everlast gloves, they're real puncher's gloves, so Carl had to be wary, and it kind of woke him up. He walked into a shot early on in the first round. It got him awake, he moved side to side, and he switched on to his boxing, and he picked him apart beautifully, and Bute's a good fighter.
Rob, firstly, congratulations.
Thank you.
Great tactics, great fight. I coming into this fight, I watched the Librado Andrade fight where Bute was effectively knocked out in the 12th round, and there was an expression on his face that I saw halfway through that round where he wanted out, he was quitting, and he had that quit in him. I thought that Carl could make him quit. I didn't think he could make him crumble that quickly. What were your thoughts on how quickly you thought that Carl's work would show their effects on Bute?
I think it sounds easy for me to say after the fight, but our plan was to have a great start and dive on him basically, but not walk into the uppercut, get your feet in and dive on him and stay on him. Because if you give him room, he can punch with that backhand and he's dangerous. So that was the plan. we didn't know it would work as quickly as it worked, but Carl caught him with a good temple shot and he never recovered, and he just kept on him for 2 or 3 rounds. It shows you the fitness of Bute to take those punches for 2 rounds, because he was pretty much gone, but he stayed up. But you know, I've said it before and I've said it time and time again, Carl Froch is a fantastic fighter. He can fight, he can box, he can do a bit of everything. The Ward fight, things weren't quite right, and Ward's a great fighter, but for sure down the road maybe they can go at it again, and I'm sure you'll see a different Carl Froch.
And a little bit closer down the road, how much of a effect do you think that will have on the gym now with your guys coming up to the Olympic Games, because you know that success breeds success?
Yeah, it does, and Carl's a good example to the boxers up there at Sheffield, and we've got 10 qualified going to the Olympic Games, so hopefully we can win some medals, and he's a good example of what can happen in the future.
Rob, one more, what happens now? I mean, we know about the rematch clause. I'm not necessarily sure that Bute is going to want any part of Carl Froch going forward. What do you think is going to be the next on the agenda for him?
I want him to have a little breather. He's a family man, he's a fighting man, but he's a family man. I want him to have a little rest. He's a close friend of mine. I don't like to see him taking punches too often, so a little breather. And there's great fights, Kessler, great fights out there, Ward, maybe Bute down the line.
Well done tonight, good luck
Thank
for the
you.
Olympic Games.
Thank
Well
you.
done, fantastic
Thanks.
game plan, of course, by Rob McCracken, executed superbly by Carl Froch. I mean, it's a job well done all round. It's an interesting point that you make, Adam, that when you see the Andrade fight, he had the same look on his face that night that we saw tonight, didn't he?
The hardest time to do something is the first time. Just like the hardest time to quit is the first time. After that, you don't have that same level of shame. Carl has never had any quit in him in any of his fights, the ones that he's lost, the ones that he's won. Not once can you see Carl anywhere near being broken or quit as a fighter. And I saw that when I watched the Andrade fight last week. I thought that Carl could make him quit, but I genuinely thought it would have taken a lot longer than that. And hats off to Carl. He did the right thing at the right time, right at the very start, and never let the guy back in the fight. He swarmed Bute, he suffocated him with his technique, he suffocated him with his punching, and got the victory that he really does deserve. He really does deserve this, because he's one of the best, if not the best, British fighter in recent years.
George, your final thoughts tonight, having watched that dismantling by Carl Froch. I mean, Rob said he's got to take a bit of time off because he doesn't like to see him taking punches because he's a friend of his, but the way he fought tonight, there's lots of good nights ahead of him.
Yeah, definitely loads of good nights ahead for Carl. No doubt, coming off a loss, he would have had a long camp for this. A lot of mental energy would have been spent in training camp, and then obviously the physical stuff as well. Carl looked in great shape, and although he come through a fight with not much damage, it was a tough fight, a big fight, and he deserves a rest.
My thanks tonight to George Groves, the British and Commonwealth Super-Middleweight champion, and to Adam Booth as well, who's going to now prepare David Hay for that fight against Derek Chisora. Carl Froch came into the Nottingham Arena tonight with a point to prove. He leaves it as the 3-time Super-Middleweight champion of the world. Carl Froch stopping Lucian Bute in the 5th round here in Nottingham. It's been a fantastic night. We're finished here at the Nottingham Arena.